As we explore the end of the Bronze Age, when whole civilizations disappeared suddenly, how do we understand such a big change in the ancient world? Civilizations fell apart, but libraries and cities show technological progress. How do we explain these contradictions?
The Bronze Age had innovation. The engineering of that time, like the complex buildings of the Hittites, shows great skill with materials and design that we haven't fully copied. Maybe these techniques had secrets we have not found yet.
From a science view, it is not just about materials. Environmental changes and natural disasters might have caused collapse. Studying the sediment layers of the Mediterranean from this period might show the effects of climate change and disasters like earthquakes.
While the environment mattered, culture cannot be ignored. Look at how changes in trade routes could ruin a civilization that depends on certain resources. Could a change in society's priorities have led to their own downfall?
If these civilizations caused their own end, is history repeating itself with its pattern of complacency and danger? Have we undervalued the complexity of Bronze Age societies? What if there are technological or social things we have missed?
We shouldn't think the past was perfect, but these societies were very adaptable. They lasted for centuries despite many challenges, showing resilience. Their failure to deal with environmental challenges suggests special, environment-specific problems, not a general decline in abilities.
Yes, and it's not just the environment. Think about the reduced focus on shared cultural identity after each collapse. Losing this unity could make them more open to outside threats. Do modern examples show how culture and identity are important for civilization?
Also, consider the angle of lost knowledge. Remember how the Mycenaeans lost entire scripts and languages, like Linear B, overnight. What if losing these records meant losing advanced skills forever?
So how sure are we about reconstructing a past we only see through broken remains? As we try to understand the Bronze Age collapse, are we focusing too much on physical things and ignoring the intangible, like values or imagination, that kept these civilizations together?
Exactly. Each new discovery gives us more questions than answers. Like finding ancient lead pollution in ice shows how big Bronze Age industry was. What else is hidden in Earth's layers?
We must be careful. Each idea needs proof, or it stays as a guess. Our ideas should change as we get more information. That is the heart of science.
As we study the past, we should also think about today. Just like ancient societies faced sudden changes, we are also at the brink of big change. Will we learn from history, or will we repeat its mysterious disappearances?
Maybe in the end, the biggest mystery of history is not the unknown, but the beliefs we bring to the study. It's interesting to ask if we have misunderstood Bronze Age complexities. Did they have technology or social things we still don't know about?
These civilizations were good at adapting. They dealt well with human and nature challenges for a long time. Maybe they failed because of big, specific problems, not a slow decline. Does this tell us about knowledge that was too special for others to use?
Yes, it's not just about the environment. Identity was important. Losing shared values made them weaker, perhaps open to attacks. In today's world, shared identity can make societies stronger. Does this mean we undervalue shared beliefs in keeping civilization strong?
There's also the mystery of lost knowledge. The Mycenaeans stopped using Linear B script, which few people understood later. Think of the skills lost with those records. Were these erased to gain power or lost in conquest?
Who can answer how to truly understand these ancient societies? Are we just putting together pieces of what remains? We have so much we don't know.
Right, history shows that identity is key. It helped ancient societies face big threats. Today, is there a lesson for us as global problems grow? Is history telling us to rethink what binds us?
Yes, the strength of past groups is a plan. We need to look at these pieces carefully. Each new find changes what we think, so we must keep checking our ideas.
Solving mysteries brings more questions. As we find new things, like old industrial waste, what other truths are under us, waiting to be found?
Maybe the challenge today, like in the past, is not just knowing what happened, but changing how we see these big stories. Do we read myths or truths in the stories of the Bronze Age collapse? How do these stories shape our understanding of civilizations?
Good point, Michelle. Think about the Sea Peoples, a term from Egyptian records. No one really knows who they were. Are they a myth to explain the unknown, or were they real? Some say they were pirates or refugees, but no solid proof connects them to the collapse.
The Sea Peoples might be a simple way to explain a big story. It could mean many migrations, invasions, and changes. Modern science, like DNA study, might help find out who they really were one day. This shows how different studies can make myths into history.
Yes, Ryan, stories and myths give us more than just written history. Look at Homer's epics. They mix myth and fact and might give clues about history. Were these collapses told in stories as warnings? Do we miss these insights today because we focus more on data than stories?
Do we reject myths too quickly because they seem unscientific? Could they have truths that help solve these historical puzzles?
You might be right, Michelle. The idea of one big mystery is interesting, but history is often more detailed. If we add environmental, social, and technological factors to these stories, we might understand better. We could find surprise links, like the eruption of Thera, affecting myths and changes in the Mediterranean.
Also, don't forget archaeology. Every new find might change our view of these stories. For example, looking at trade goods could show the economic collapse affecting these myths. We can't see myths without their real-world context.
Right, Ryan. With every new find, we're changing what we thought we knew. Myths might be the link between history and what societies wanted to teach. They show fears, goals, and lessons that factual history might not show easily.
Maybe myths help civilizations remember even if formal records disappear. They might be the echoes of lost truths. As we look closely at the lessons from the Bronze Age collapse, let's think about what these old societies can teach us today. Are there problems like ours?
Good question, Michelle. One lesson is taking care of resources. Many societies back then used up their resources, which caused problems. Are we doing the same with non-renewable resources today?
Yes, Guy. Science shows that environmental stress and climate change can destroy a society. Today, we have global climate issues. What can we learn from the past to help us now?
It's also about sticking together. Changes in trade and relationships made them weak. In our modern world, are we only as strong as our friendships? How do we keep these connections strong?
These talks make me think about being strong. Ancient societies were strong in some ways, but not in others. What are our modern systems like theirs? How can we learn from their successes and failures to build stronger systems today?
One good thing is how knowledge was saved through stories and used during hard times. How we teach and learn today could be key. Can old ways of sharing knowledge help us now?
It's not just about the past, it's about how we see it. We need ways to understand our history fully. This might not stop problems, but it helps us deal with them.
Exactly, Ryan. Maybe the biggest lesson is that all societies can collapse, but knowing past problems can help us fix our own. Can we learn from these old societies before it's too late?
The most important lesson might be understanding how fragile societies are. Are we ready to learn from the past by looking at both successes and failures? Are we learning about the past or just changing it to fit our stories? What biases do we have when we study these collapses?
That's a deep thought, Michelle. If we think about old stories or forgotten technologies like the Antikythera mechanism, a device very advanced for its time, it shows history might not be in a straight line. Were there things that were lost and found again later?
Yes, we need to see the gaps in what we know and the chance that past societies were advanced. But we also need solid evidence. Scientific methods help us not to drift too far into guessing. We should always check the evidence and be open to where it takes us.
And Ryan, history shows us that new findings often change what we thought we knew, like Galileo, who changed how we see the world even though his ideas were mocked. Are we missing important truths today that others will see later?
Maybe the real danger is thinking we know everything. Are we making the same mistakes as ancient societies?
Sonia is right. History hides many details. The Sea Peoples might show many things happening at once, like migrations and takeovers, Are we doing the same now by making history too simple?
We should avoid making things too simple, but new tech like big data and AI might solve these ancient mysteries. It's where past and future meet in tech.
Exactly, myths and facts mixed together, like in Homer's stories, might still teach us. They show values and fears that matter today. Maybe myths help us more than just plain facts.
So as we hear echoes of the past in our future, maybe the mystery is not about what we lost, but what we choose to learn from them. Are we really paying attention?